This meeting is being recorded. Welcome to our session for Green Schools Challenge, a whole systems approach to integrating environmental education. I hope that everyone has had a very interesting and educational week as we close out, the end part of Florida Climate Week. But we hope that today's session is interesting. We definitely encourage questions, and we will share our contact information at the end of the presentation in case afterwards you want to reach out to us or have some other questions. My name is Barbara Martinez Guerrero. I am the Executive Director of Dream and Green. And joining me today is Alexander Gruenbaum, the Program Manager. And so we want to get started. We are, again, recording this, and we want to tell you a little bit about who we are. I know that a lot of people are going to be probably watching the video later, but we do have someone on. So as we go along, if you'd like to share who you are, what you do, what brought you to this session, we'd love to hear it. And so feel free to add in the chat or through the Vulva platform, just to give us a better sense of who's interested and for what reason brought them to this presentation.
So as Barbara mentioned, so we're Dream and Green. And so we are a nonprofit located out of Miami, but servicing all of South Florida. And our mission is really to empower individuals, especially youth, to lead in the response to climate change and other environmental challenges facing South Florida. We have been around for about 19 years. Next year will be our 20th anniversary. So it was started back in 2006. So we're super excited to be, a longstanding program servicing South Florida schools and communities. The main program that we're going to talk about today is our flagship program, which is called the Green Schools Challenge. And so that program is really a whole system program where we want to engage students, teachers, facilities, administrators at schools, really teaching them about, a holistic approach to green schools. And so within that program, we provide hands-on activities to the students that really get them thinking about ways to conserve energy and water, as well as mitigating waste at school, and teaching them about the links between the natural environment, the threats of climate change, and how we can work together to increase community sustainability and resilience. So like I said, we did start back in 2006 with a pilot program in 3 schools located in Miami-Dade. And since then, we have expanded the program to service other counties in South Florida. So the Green Schools Challenge services schools in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. We've also had schools participate in Monroe County. And then we've also even had some schools in Orange County up in Orlando participate this year, which is super exciting. So our programming is not just for public schools. It's available to all K through 12 schools, public, private, charter, magnet schools. But this is just to give you kind of a demographic of the public school systems in South Florida, who tend to be the biggest participants in the Green Schools Challenge. So some of the program benefits and features of the Green Schools Challenge that we've kind of, cultivated and perfected over the last almost 20 years is that we really have a hands-on approach with developing this curriculum and these experiences for students and for teachers. So the Dream and Green staff provides professional development training throughout the year to teachers, both in-person and virtual options. We develop online curriculum and guidebooks for teachers to use to implement into their classrooms. Our staff provides site visits to schools to provide additional support. And then we even have a grant program where we provide small grants of about $300 to $400 to schools to help support green projects at their schools. The curriculum that we develop in-house is aligned with Florida state standards for teaching. We include all those benchmarks in the lessons and activities that we provide. The really overall goal of the program is to increase that environmental literacy across the whole school community. We really want to empower those students to make, informed choices and become environmental stewards. As this is a competition program, we do celebrate successes at the end of the year. And then obviously one of the other major benefits of the program is to increase overall building efficiency. Obviously, we know that when, decreasing water and energy usage and even offsetting waste, that can decrease the costs on the schools of managing those resources and improving the overall efficiency of the building and the health of its occupants. So we develop three specific guidebooks. We create grade-specific lessons and activities for K through 12 schools. So we do provide curriculum for elementary schools, for middle schools, and for high schools. And this curriculum is all available online. We transferred online a number of years ago to make it readily accessible to everyone and anywhere. So that's why we're able to have schools across the state now participate in our program and access this curriculum. This is just kind of give you a snapshot of what the program looks like. It is a year-long program that we start, in August and September, and it goes through the end of the year. We tend to kick off the program with professional development opportunities. We've done 2 so far this year to really introduce teachers to the program. We do follow a train the teacher model, so we, provide PDs for teachers and help them to integrate these lessons and activities into their classrooms for their students. So after the PDs, we ask the teachers to go back and kind of set up the 3 pillars that we have for the Green Schools Challenge, which you'll see there in blue. So we want the schools to create kind of a green team and create a green pledge just to showcase, what they're going to be working on this year and that they're really, dedicated to this Green Schools movement. Then we ask them to complete an environmental self-assessment to kind of gauge where they're at in regards to different sustainability topics like energy, water, waste, and schoolyard enhancement projects. And then the last one is to really set a goal. So maybe using that self-assessment to see where there are places for improvement and setting one goal for the year that they can tackle in one of those kinds of categories. Then throughout the year, we do offer lessons and activities through these monthly challenges, which always cover the same 6 sustainability topics that you see there in light gray. So those lessons are going to be rooted in, energy efficiency, water quality, waste reduction, green living, alternative transportation, and food security. So now we're about in April for the school year, where we ask schools to host an eco summit. We kind of dovetail that with Earth Month and Earth Day to create kind of a celebration for the Green School. And then at the end of the year, like I said, we do celebrate those successes by doing an awards ceremony where we, highlight the top scoring and top performing schools. So as I mentioned, these are the green pillars. So this is just kind of a snapshot of what that looks like. We're asking them to create a green team at their school, to take it beyond just those few teachers that might have attended the professional development. So getting their students involved, especially at the middle and the high school level. A lot of eco clubs tend to help take this on and be part of the green team. Obviously, administrator buy-in is very important, as well as getting facility staff involved if teachers are going to be doing any kind of improvement projects or recycling programs, because facility staff need to be on the loop of those kinds of things. And then if schools have active PTAs, it's definitely a great resource to get them involved in the green team as well. As I mentioned before, the self-assessment is just kind of taking a look at what the school is already doing as far as sustainability, where they can improve, kind of understand maybe if they're a public school, what the district is doing, what they're working on, how they can align with the priorities of the school district, if there's anything rooted in sustainability. I know a lot of schools are moving towards, more energy efficiency, even some, clean energy programs. So we want schools to be abreast of those and definitely help with those kinds of movements. And then the environmental goal is, yeah, using that information that they collected during the self-assessment and identifying areas of improvement. With the self-assessment, we've actually taken that application directly from the application for the Florida Green Schools program. So we want to, though the Green Schools Challenge is more of like a local initiative and competition, we definitely want to align ourselves with larger state and national accreditations that are available. So in the state of Florida, there's the Florida Green Schools, which is put on by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And then at the national level, the Department of Education has the Green Ribbon Recognition Program. And then we're also, we work with National Wildlife Federation and they have an Eco Schools designation program. So while we know that some of these, especially the state and the federal accreditations are currently on hold with this administration, but we're hoping to, help to supplement and support any initiatives that schools are working on in case they do reopen. And then I do know that the USGBC has, created their own kind of accreditation to highlight the schools that should have received some kind of designation this year, but that didn't. And so this is just kind of some examples of green pledges that teams have put together over the years. We just kind of ask teams to create some kind of visual so that all the students and the school body knows what's going on, that they're part of this Green Schools Challenge, that they're taking this pledge to, conserve resources, to become a green school, to be, um, to be kind of, a proponent, an environmental steward for the planet. So a lot of schools tend to do some kind of, banner or some kind of visual signage. So these are just some examples that we've gotten in previous years. So we really, our success, I think we credit that to being able to be complementary with what schools are doing and not necessarily competing. We're well aware that teachers are very, busy and burdened and have a lot of things going on. So we've worked hard to make this program as accessible and um, complimentary as possible so that teachers can take what we're providing and put it into their classrooms and for their students. So some ways we do that is specifically through our partnerships. We partner with, other organizations, both local and national. We try to partner with the municipalities, other nonprofits doing similar work that provide great opportunities for schools beyond ourselves. We're a small team of two, so we are limited in our capacity, but we know there are a lot of other great organizations offering programming, opportunities, workshops, field trips, all that kind of stuff. So we want to make sure that our schools have access to that as well. I mentioned that we do have a small grants program. So, if there are goals or things in the environmental self-assessment that schools want to work on, we want to definitely remove any kind of financial barrier for schools to implement those kinds of projects. So we do provide small grants throughout the year. We give about $10,000 to $12,000 away every year. And so those, most popular tend to be some kind of garden, whether that's an edible garden, butterfly garden, installing rain barrels, getting recycling bins for the classrooms. We've had schools install um, electric hand dryers to help remove paper towel waste. So we've had schools get creative with these grant projects, which is great. Another partnership that we're very proud of is that we try to, become official partners with all the school districts that we serve. So with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, we have been, a partner with them for the entirety of our existence pretty much. So we work closely with the school districts to learn about what their what their initiatives, their sustainability practices are, what their goals are, how we can help at the school level, how we can help them implement those kinds of energy or water or waste saving initiatives. We find that a lot of time there tends to be a gap between, at the district level, what they want, and then down to the actual users of the schools, the students and the teachers. So if there are kind of programs or benefits that schools can get from reducing their water energy usage, that information needs to get to the schools. So sometimes we are that, in between for them. The lessons that we create for our guidebooks, we do, like I said, we align it with the Florida state standards. We work with all the school districts that we partner with to make sure it aligns with what they're asking for the teachers through their pacing guides. Like I said, we provide teacher trainings, professional development throughout the year. And then really we provide support staff for teachers if they have any questions about implementing the program. And then being flexible, as this is, a voluntary program, and we try to align it as many ways as we can with teachers, what they need to teach. So we want this to be, again, complementary and not an extra thing that teachers need to do.
So, we are going to talk a little bit about some of the actual lessons that we have created in previous years in some of the themes to give you a better idea of some of the hands-on activities that we create and that are implemented by the teachers. So, the first one that we want to share is some of our energy efficiency and conservation lessons that we have done with the schools. One of them focused on identifying different items that use energy in a school, where they created cards. This was at the younger level, created cards to remind everyone to turn off those items, which can be posted around schools. So sometimes they were within the light switches, by the computers. They gave some facts, and with the lessons, we always provide links to resources where students can get that information. So that the idea is they teach others what they have learned and encourage action. Another very popular lesson that we often do throughout the program is conducting a school energy audit, where either at the elementary, middle, or high school level, we have different resources, so that students in those different grade levels can do a school energy audit, collecting data about their energy usage. Sometimes it's as simple as, counting the amount of light bulbs in a classroom, to start with, like the elementary level, all the way to high school students, literally going around and counting appliances, looking at and figuring out how many LED light bulbs there are, looking for natural light. And so we have different ways in which the students collect that information and then present their findings. In the last couple of years, because we live in Florida, there has been a lot of focus on extreme heat. And so there has been a lot of discussion on how we can combat extreme heat and the heat island effect that we have through our urban communities. So, using Miami-Dade County as a case study, one of the lessons that we created was to have students research the effectiveness of trees and urban rooftop designs in mitigating the effects of climate change, especially extreme heat and the heat island effect. Those lessons have ranged from taking temperature measurements of different surfaces throughout the school, mapping out where there's tree canopy, trying to identify pockets of where it's warmer or hotter, looking at the um, school as a whole, where they would plant trees, what types of trees they would plant, and how does that relate to conserving energy, and looking at building green roofs, models of green roofs, and what's the benefit of that for the operations of a building. So, again, energy efficiency and conservation lends itself to a lot of hands on projects as well as presentations of their learning. Another theme we have is water quality and conservation. So, again, creating lessons that are age appropriate for K through 12 students, and giving the teachers resources to be able to implement them, such as another very popular lesson that we have done in the past is the From the Sky to Your Cup. So, where we encourage students to learn about distillation, and where our drinking water comes from, and looking about how water is. It can be a very limited resource, and why it's important to conserve the water that we have. And we link that to in the middle and high school lessons. Another lesson through threats of coral reefs, where they learn about the water quality issues that are affecting Florida's coral reefs. And they use online data for visualization. A very common topic that we have focused on the last couple of years is about coral bleaching, because that does affect our community. Another one that we've had in the past, and this one again is through collaboration with the Everglades Foundation. We supported the uh, the concept of what is a watershed, the topic of what is a watershed, and students learned what it was, what affects the flow and health of the watershed, and looked at drainage patterns by creating a model using paper and markers and other materials depending on the grade level. So, those are some examples of our water quality and conservation lessons.
And obviously, we have four other sustainability topics, but we didn't want to go into all of them. But all lessons that we do create are available online, so teachers are able to look at them and get a snapshot of what topics are covered. Says we change them every year, and we definitely try to highlight local issues for Florida. Whether, as Barbara mentioned, water, like where water comes from, dealing with the Biscayne Aquifer or the Florida Aquifer, coral reefs, the algal blooms that happened a few years ago or that continue to happen. We try to integrate those into the lessons. So things that are happening now and that are actual real threats now, to educate the students on what they can do to be part of the solution. So at the end of the school year, we do an award ceremony and we hand out banners and trophies and prizes to schools. Like I said, this is a competition. So as schools submit various activities and lessons, they do get points for it. And so we do have top scoring schools that we love to highlight. So these are just some examples from Palm Beach and Miami-Dade and Broward that we had for last year.
Alex, and very quickly, I just got a question. Somebody said they
Mhm.
were waiting to be let in the waiting room. I don't know
Oh,
if you saw that.
I don't see anybody waiting. Oh, yes. Sorry. I do see that now. Now I think everybody should be in. I must have missed the little notification. So we touched a little bit on partnerships, but these are the partners that we're working with specifically for this year. And just to call a couple of them out, I mentioned that we do partner with all the school districts that we serve. So Palm Beach County Public Schools, Broward County Public Schools and Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And as you can see, we do have some local nonprofits that we partner with, as well as national nonprofits. For example, like Solar United Neighbors is a national nonprofit, and we collaborate with them on lessons to integrate solar information and solar science into some of our lessons. And then we have other partnerships. For example, the Reef Line is a more local one, and they deal with coral reef restoration, specifically in Miami Beach. Um, and if you're in South Florida, you might be familiar with Fairchild Tropical Botanical Garden. They run the Fairchild Challenge, so we partner with them on some lessons, introducing concepts of botany. And Barbara already mentioned the Everglades Foundation. They have their own lessons specifically about the watershed and the Everglades. So it's important to teach students about that as well.
And before
And
you go on, sorry about that,
no, no,
Alex.
no, go ahead.
Just wanted to really focus on the fact that we are very lucky in South Florida to have a lot of really amazing organizations that are doing really impressive and inspiring work with our students. And so the idea behind the Green Schools Challenge is to bring all of those organizations together and have kind of one set resource for any school that is looking into sustainability and environmental education. Because our lessons range from, gardens, and we have some amazing organizations like Miami Eco Adventures and EO programs, Environmentally Endangered Lands program down here in Miami-Dade County, that actually take students out and do restoration projects and learn about plant identification. Sometimes that information is not passed along to every school. So through our program, we make those connections for teachers so that they are able to be aware of the organizations and what they provide and how they can get involved. There are also a lot of national organizations like the Ocean Conservancy and Climate Generation that do work throughout the US, and so give the teachers an opportunity to integrate topics that are of national importance at the school through the different sustainability themes that we have. So I just wanted to call out a couple more of the organizations and how we want to position ourselves as a resource hub for schools.
Thank you. So in addition to, kind of those lessons and activities that Barbara kind of touched on before, we've created kind of some special opportunities for our schools. Most of them usually end up for the high school students, but these are kind of three special initiatives that we've cultivated over the last few years. The first one is the design and build competition. So this one is specifically, obviously, for high school students to introduce them to concepts of green design and architecture. So it started with a partnership with Florida International University with their Department of the School of Architecture. And so the way it works is that high school teams are tasked with redesigning an area with, thinking about climate change issues, and then redesigning that area with adaptations or special parameters like integrating green design or natural-based solutions. And they have to complete an area study, and then they'll actually build a 3D model of their design and present that at an event at the beginning of the year, of the calendar year. So we try to partner the high school teams with mentor students from universities, so that way they get insight from college students that are actually working towards degrees in these fields like architecture and design, so that they can get their input and help them build their model. Last year, students were asked if anybody's familiar with Miami-Dade County and the Miami Marine Stadium out on Key Biscayne, that has been, been left destitute for many, many years, and it just sits there. So they were asked to redesign that area using nature-based solutions and create what the community would need, what kind of space would they want to see there. So there's just a picture of some students with their models, and at the event we do invite, local experts, professors of architecture, actual, architects, or people working for the city to come in and judge the models and the students' projects. So it's a great event, and students really get that hands-on experience, and they get to, learn about potential career paths and connect with college students. The next one that we started last year was the first year was to a sustainable fashion showcase. And so we wanted to introduce students to the concept of, issues with fast fashion, and how they can create wearable fashion using repurposed items. So students were tasked with creating pieces, accessory pieces, and they were only allowed to use plastic or packaging material. So the picture there is some students with their pieces, with their purses and their jewelry that they created out of waste, essentially. So this was through a partnership with Vizcaya Museum and Garden. So we invited all the students to showcase their pieces there at their farmers market event, and attendees of the market came and looked at all the pieces and voted on their favorite. So that was a great way to, get students to rethink about fashion, rethink about repurposing and waste. And then the last one we have is a Youth Eco Summit. This one we've done for a number of years, and it's essentially we create an event where we invite high school students from, around the area to come together for one event during Earth Month. Usually it falls close to Earth Day. Last year it was at the Frost Science Museum in downtown Miami. And we want students to come and share their projects that they're doing at their schools, what initiatives they've implemented, to talk with not only, the general public, with museum guests, but also to interact with each other, to hear about what different students are doing at different schools, and hopefully, get some inspiration and what they can take back to their schools and then do themselves. And so the program started with really, trying to integrate STEM disciplines into these lessons and activities. And then a number of years ago, we tried to transition more to a STEAM-based program. So really trying to integrate the arts into STEM. And this came through a partnership with Live Arts Miami, which is part of Miami-Dade College. And so what the goal of the program is really to connect students with artists. So through this program and funding, we're able to bring artists into classrooms to host various workshops, rooted in, climate literacy, helping students kind of express themselves, whether their climate anxiety or their solutions through the spoken word, through song, through music, through dance. So that's kind of our workshop part of it. And then the other part is that we're able to sometimes take students on field trips to see performances by artists. And so the one you can see here, the picture is by a group called Miami Bloco. And they're a band where they play on instruments that they create themselves. So they make them out of trash and out of waste. And so they actually get together and they play these instruments. So that's great for students to see that. The workshops that we provide is one of them is it's called a recycled orchestra workshop. So the students kind of do the same thing. They create their own instruments in class as an activity out of waste, and then an artist will come in and teach the students how to play them together as a band. Another workshop that we have, the ones pictured here, is a songwriting workshop. So one of our artists comes in and, works with the students to write a song, and then they actually, sing it and perform it together. We also have a partnership through the National Water Dance, where we have an artist come in to help students, learn how to move their bodies like water and express themselves that way. And then the last workshop we have is creating green zines or magazines. So having the students create some magazine rooted in some kind of sustainability topic, and an artist comes in, teaching them what a green zine is and how to create that, to print that, and distribute that. And so these workshops and experiences are exclusive just for schools, registered in the Green Schools Challenge.
And right now, only available for Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
Yeah.
But we are hoping to expand and partner with other universities that might have performance arts programs like Live Arts Miami, so that we can provide those experiences for other schools outside the Dade district.
Thanks, Barbara. And so something we tried to start last year is I think the Green Schools Challenge does a great job of, educating students and teachers in the school body about sustainability, resilience, about climate change, but we really wanted to take it a step further and take it beyond the classroom. So we're trying to integrate this Green Homes Challenge initiative to, inspire students to take what they're learning in the classroom and take it home, to help educate their parents, their grandparents, their neighbors, all about what they're learning in school, about, how to conserve energy, how to turn off the lights, how much energy you're wasting by leaving things plugged in or turned on, um, and also how to conserve water, telling their parents to turn off the water, taking shorter showers, all these little simple techniques and these tricks that can really amount to big changes if we, are all going to do them together. And then the last thing is waste reduction and recycling. So, helping their parents or their community recycle right, to put the right things in their bins, and to minimize the amount of waste that we're creating at home.
It's all about really promoting behavioral changes. What they learn at school is something that they can do at home and they can do as a family, and then teach others to create that community of environmental stewardship.
And so that kind of segues into something that we started a number of years ago that's not necessarily part of the Green Schools Challenge, but it's under the umbrella of Dream and Green and our organization, is that we saw this need because recycling, one of the biggest issues of recycling is that contamination problem of people putting non-recyclable items into their recycling bin, and this misinformation of what can and can't be recycled, or what happens when you put something in the recycling bin that shouldn't be, and this is leading to a big problem of contamination. Municipalities, don't want to pay for recycling anymore. It's becoming a cost thing. So we started this program, Recyclepedia, which is a website aimed at, again, this is specifically for Miami-Dade County, aimed at educating residents what you can and can't put into your bin. Miami-Dade is a huge county with almost, I think, 37 municipalities, and each municipality, they are serviced in their own way, whether that's directly from the county or they have their own haulers. So information is not always the same across the board. So this tool is to serve the residents on what you can and can't put in the recycling bins. We know there's a lot of wish cycling going on where people are putting things in the recycling bins that they shouldn't, just hoping that it does get recycled. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works. And there's a lot of misconceptions on what can and can be recycled. I think the biggest one, and I'll just throw it out there, is that plastics, except for plastic bottles, don't get recycled, that you can't be putting in your, fruit containers. And this, again, specifically for Miami-Dade County. Other states, other counties across Florida may be different, but there are many plastics that can't get recycled even if you put them in the bin. So that's kind of the goal of this platform, is to help that education and minimize that contamination, so that we can, recycle correctly and hopefully make it an efficient process. And so the website's down at the bottom if you're interested in checking it out. Even if you're not a resident of Miami-Dade, I'm sure you'll learn something by clicking through it and seeing what's accepted and what's not accepted in most programs.
And before you go on, another feature that we have created, we have a couple of other features that relate back to the Green Schools Challenge. So because again, we want to educate students and provide them with ways in which they can learn and take action. We have games that are, we have two sets of games that are appropriate for um, up to eighth grade, one set of games, and then all the way up to 14, 15 years old. We've worked with a game designer, and there are a couple of games that help to bring the point home of learning how to sort out your garbage. Learning about composting. That's one actually a very popular lesson that we've seen through the Green Schools Challenge is we've seen more and more schools wanting to learn how to compost. And composting is not for everyone because it is very specific if you want it to work. As I'm sure a lot of you may be more experts in this than us, but you know you have to put certain materials and in a balanced way in order for them to be able to break down. You need air, you need humidity, you need to be constantly um, monitoring it so that you know 6 to 8 weeks later you can get compost, which doesn't happen from one day to another. And so that's one thing that we want to make fun for the students, learning for the fun for the students. And then we have another specialty item tab that basically helps with those items that people wish could be recycled, or maybe they come from somewhere else and they were recycled somewhere else. And if there is a place close by them, you can look for where you can drop off those items. And again, through the Green Schools Challenge, we provide lessons that talk about what is recycling, what is composting, what are some other alternatives to reduce landfill waste, why it's important to reduce landfill waste. And the Recyclopedia is just more of an outward spacing tool for our students and families.
So an initiative that we're trying to launch this year, and if anybody in the audience is interested in joining us in this, we're super excited to be launching a Green Career Speaker Series. We see that the importance for, introducing students, especially middle and high school, to different green careers and career pathways is very important, both green and STEM careers that are out there that they may not be aware of. So through this series, we're asking, local experts in fields of, energy or water, waste management, sustainable transportation, agriculture and food systems, green architecture or building design. If you're interested in joining a classroom virtually to speak to students for 45 minutes to 50 minutes about your specific career, maybe how you got there, what kind of education degree, what your job looks like, what are the requirements, how they can get involved, answering some of the questions they may have. We're interested in inviting you to be a part of this. So there's a QR code at the bottom, or you're more than welcome to email one of us. I'll share our email after this. But yeah, we're excited to launch this and get this into classrooms and introduce students to what kind of green jobs are out there for them after graduation.
So, for example, this year within the Green Schools Challenge theme of waste and recycling, we've partnered with the Solid Waste Department in Miami-Dade County, and allow the students to ask questions to the solid waste department. And we're looking now for companies that work in that space so they can get an overview of like the public sector and the private sector as well. For the last, I would say, 6 years, at our middle school curriculum, we've really been focusing on green careers, because we know that sometimes when in high school, they kind of already have an idea of what they want to do. But identifying in middle school some opportunities for future careers in something that they're passionate about uh, can be a great way to spark that curiosity. So, for the last, I would say, yeah, about 6 years at the middle school level, we have really focused on creating activities and lessons that focus on green careers for that reason.
And I think one of the last things that we wanted to share was that, as we mentioned, we're a small team and we're always looking for volunteers and for interns to help us with our programming. We're based down in Miami, but we service all of South Florida. We tend to be in about a little over 150 schools per year. So we definitely rely on, a network of volunteer interns to assist us. So if you're interested or know anybody that would like to volunteer or intern with us, especially high school and college students, we can provide service hours. Feel free to contact us or share our information with anybody that you know might be interested.
And some of the projects that we've had our students work, especially like there's an example that picture in the middle. Those two are our interns, our high school interns from this past summer. And what they did is not only did they help us create and come up with ideas and resources for the lessons in the Green Schools Challenge this year, but participated in different events that we were invited to table at for the summer. In that particular picture, the students created some trivia questions for the younger students and were able to share their knowledge. And it was really interesting to see how the younger students looked at, their peers, but a couple years older than them, and really listened to what they were saying. For our interns and volunteers at the college level, we train them to not only go and do tabling events, but also do presentations. And so we have presentations that focus on how households can reduce their carbon footprint by conserving water and energy again. And these presentations are prepared, and then the students go out into different communities to share those presentations. So those are some of the ways in which we follow up and we support students and tie it into our Green Schools Challenge program.
And then we just want to share our contact information and our social media. Feel free to follow us, to contact us. If you're a school interested in participating in the Green Schools Challenge, we can give you more information on that. If you're an organization that works with schools, that provides your own special opportunities, we'd love to connect and learn more about you as well. Or if you're interested in anything that we talked about today, more information about Recyclepedia or volunteering or interning with us, this is our contact information, and we're happy and excited to connect moving forward.
And if there are any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you now, or like Alex said, reach out to us anytime. And we thank you so much for you. And I have a question here. How many schools participate in the program? So it varies from year to year, but right now there are 155 schools registered this year across the 3 counties. And so we've been steadily growing for the last couple of years since we also opened it up to Broward and Palm Beach. Still, most of the schools that register are from Miami-Dade County. I believe right now it's over 100 just in Miami-Dade County. The rest of the 50-something are from Palm Beach and Broward County. And the way that we can do this is through a train-the-trainer model in which the lessons we provide are specifically written in teacher language. So they have objectives, materials, procedures, guiding questions, benchmarks. We create the PowerPoints, the PDFs, the worksheets, the lab observation notes. And so that's a way for teachers to simply, like we say, plug and play the lessons. So that they feel comfortable teaching the lesson and then can adapt the lesson to their students. One of the things that we've noticed is that our program, yes, the majority of teachers that take on the program are science teachers, but because the lessons are multidisciplinary, again, we focus on STEAM. We have seen art teachers, English teachers, even math teachers, media specialists have taken it on as a club. And so that it is easy for students to even take it on themselves. I know at the high school level, we actually have a couple of schools that the teacher just serves as kind of a facilitator, and basically just says, hey, here are the themes this year, like here are the lessons this year. Which ones do you all want to take on? And then since the curriculum, the lessons are available to anyone, they can take a look and adapt it to their classrooms. And so we've gotten really positive feedback about the flexibility of the program, and how teachers have the autonomy to make the lessons their own. And because we change the lessons every year, I know we keep teachers coming back to see what we're going to do this year, and we definitely take feedback from them on lessons that are successful, lessons that maybe need a little tweaking. But again, it's always focusing on the idea of helping students feel better prepared for the future and how they can become environmental stewards. That was a long-winded answer for a short question. So I apologize. Are there any other questions? Great. Well, we want to thank you for attending. As we mentioned, we are recording this as well. So if you missed anything for any reason, please come back soon, and there will be our video of this presentation. So we're going to let you go a little bit earlier. We appreciate your time. And again, please feel free to contact us. And if you are able to help us with our Green Career Speaker Series, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.